I was in my driveway staring at a $100,000 Tesla parked in my garage, another person's car with a note on it claiming full right to be there. My blood simmered. This was not simple trespassing. It was the first shot in what would become a strategic battle for dominance of my own home. The security footage I captured that day would eventually peel back a decade of neighborhood tyranny, all culminating in a late-night showdown that's now been viewed by millions online. Buying my dream home was supposed to be a victory, not a descent into a suburban hellscape of intimidation, deception, and revenge. Here's how I toppled the HOA tyrant who believed she was invincible, sparking a debate that still polarizes the neighborhood. 3 years ago, I finally became a homeowner. I'd spent years saving, and after years of pinching pennies, I bought a three-bedroom colonial on Elm Street, just outside the official boundaries of Meadowview Estates HOA. I chose it specifically. Years of dealing with a controlling apartment manager had made their impression, and I longed for freedom. The house needed work, fresh paint, landscaping, but it was mine, and more importantly, HOA regulation-free. The neighborhood seemed like it had been plucked from a brochure. Oak-lined streets, manicured lawns, small-town quaintness, a commuting distance from the city. My first weekend was spent planning renovations, savoring the plain thrill of being able to paint my front door fire engine red, a choice that would soon unleash chaos. On day 2, my doorbell rang. Margaret Ellison, HOA president, stood on my porch. Immaculately coiffed blonde hair, designer sunglasses atop her head, and a welcome basket in hand. "We're so glad to have you," she said, extending a cold smile. She handed me a 27-page HOA handbook, mentioning monthly dues as an afterthought. I corrected her quickly. "My property isn't part of your HOA. That's why I bought it." Her smile faltered. "There's been an error. All homes on Elm Street fall under our jurisdiction. I sold the same house to the previous owners." I held my ground and brought up the boundary check my lawyer had performed. Margaret's tone sharpened. "You'd best review your documents. The previous owners respected community standards." Her eyes darted to my red door, disapproval saying it all. As she left, she tossed off, "Strangers do have problems here." The menace was subtle but took its mark. That welcome basket wasn't cookies. It was a passive-aggressive manual. Door approval color codes included. I felt unsettled and had security cameras installed that night. My neighbor George Ramsey, a retired attorney, visited afterward and offered a warning. "Margaret's trouble," he told me. "She ran the previous owners off with code enforcement and rumors. Your corner lot is her fixation. It's too noticeable." I almost lost my home to her over a $75 fine that escalated to $3,000. "Reset your garage code. She retains remotes from houses that she sold." I heeded his warning, feeling as if I had just entered into a battle for power. 2 uneventful weeks passed, which led me to wonder if George had been overstating things. That is, until the next Thursday. I came back from a quick errand to find my garage wide open. Parked inside was a white Tesla Model X, as though it belonged there. A note printed on HOA letterhead claimed temporary parking rights due to repaving, except no repaving was occurring. The license plate on the vehicle read HOPE. I noticed a designer purse and a compliance file within. A fresh coffee stain was on my workbench. Someone had been getting comfortable. My mailbox had a backdated notice, postmarked. Security footage showed Margaret using a remote to open my garage, parking, and then walking off with a smile. I was furious and called the police. Officer Tom Bradley arrived, viewed the video, and said, "It's a civil matter unless there is damage to property. File a trespassing report, document all of this, and talk with a lawyer." He recommended Margaret's influence. "She's friends with the mayor. We get HOA complaints every month." As he was leaving, Margaret pulled up, holding a remote control in her hand. I confronted her, showing her the video. She didn't flinch. "HOA bylaws allow for resource use during projects. Your garage is shielding my car from debris." I lost it. "I don't belong to your HOA. You unlawfully withheld a remote. This is trespassing." Her smirk returned. "You're confused about your status. It's easier if you cooperate. As she drove off, I noticed listing photos of my house in her vehicle. This wasn't just about control. She wanted my property. I recoded my codes, added more cameras, and checked. Again, my lot was completely outside the HOA's boundaries. George then told me Margaret had a history of picking out non-HOA homes and gradually getting them under her control. 3 homeowners had already been forced out. Hours later, a cruiser returned. I showed the officer video. Diane trespassing, filming, snooping around. He laughed, said it was harassment, and took a USB copy. He said her behavior could turn criminal and suggested posting official no trespassing signs. I watched as he made his way to her house. There were shouts from her driveway within minutes. I crept closer. Diane, face flushed, was having a fight with the officer, while neighbors whispered in a group a little ways off. One of them shook his head and gestured towards my cabin. Her hold on them was slipping. The next morning, I found a handmade sign on my gate. Community Watch Zone. Violators photographed. Report suspicious mountain man. Scrawled in red marker, it seemed desperate. I took it out and set a trap, moved the cams, enabled motion notifications, and put up pink survey flags around a decoy toolbox. That night, my phone buzzed. The video showed Diane wearing a camo hoodie, pulling flags, tossing them into the bushes, taking photos. She was messing with property lines. It was at the county office that I made the bombshell discovery. 30 feet of her deck, her outdoor kitchen included, was on my property. Her survey was either inaccurate or downright falsified. I marked the area with orange ribbon and a sign, pending survey review, property dispute active. Diane burst in, charging me with vandalism. I calmly pointed to county records and her midnight intrusions, 3 break-ins documented. She threatened to call the county. I encouraged her to do that. A second cop showed up. I laid all this out for him. He checked and confirmed her deck encroached on my property. He clearly knew her. A drone whirred above my head the following day, trailing me. It went back to Diane's house. Next, a county code enforcement officer stopped by. A report about building code violations made anonymously. He found nothing, shrugged, and said, "She emails daily." Diane was a frequent complainer. I designed a lookout tower, perfectly legal, 12 feet high, on my property. County signed off with haste. When the frame was erected, Diane photographed it from her lawn, scowling. The tower proclaimed, clear and loud, "I can see you." In due course, a petition arrived in my mail. It insisted I take down the tower, charging me with commercial development and harboring explosives. Diane now styled herself Community Defense Coordinator. I called my neighbor Ed, a retired surveyor. He hadn't signed the petition, thought it was for trails, but he provided me with old maps indicating Diane's deck was on my property. Her next HOA meeting blew up. Neighbors argued, one cried, some walked out. A wildlife complaint followed. My tower allegedly disturbed endangered birds. The agent found no nests and rolled his eyes at her tactics. At the county hearing, my lawyer Nathan brought maps, video, and surveys. Cool and lethal. Diane countered with poster boards. One had my cabin surrounded by scrawled flames. Another marked my tower a spy hub. The officer dismissed her imaginary HOA charter. Her conspiracy theories bombed. The room turned. Neighbors snorted. The ruling was given, in my favor. Outside, Diane stalked away, her support crumbling. One acolyte whispered an apology. The county gave her 2 options: tear down the deck or buy the land. She came knocking a few days afterward, defeated, bringing a signed letter to abandon the HOA drama and remain off of my property. I motioned towards her HOA headquarters sign. She tore it down. Neighbors were thanking me. The mountain was relieved. Yet Diane could not deny herself a parting shot. A trail cam caught her vandalizing my tower's ladder and camera at midnight. I filed a complaint, turned in the broken equipment. Deputies questioned her. She was cited, warned, and ordered not to contact me. Her empire collapsed. Neighbors came forward with their own stories: bullying, noise complaints, threats over garden gnomes and toys. I held a barbecue, not in victory but to rebuild community. Laughter echoed across the ridge. Kids ran wild. Dogs napped in the sun. Diane's blind stayed shut. She joined another town's HOA. Winter came with snow and a call from a realtor. Her house was up for sale. Covertly, through an LLC, I bought it. No publicity, no fanfare. She left at dawn, tires crunching over frost. I rebuilt the site, turned it into Lookout Loggia, a sanctuary for veterans, hikers, and volunteers, at no cost. Neighbors helped, travelers visited. The wild began to heal them. One day I found a rusted boundary stake, a relic of the war she fought. I watched the sunset from my tower. The lodge glowed below. This was never about winning. It was about peace. Won, not given. Every trail, every tree, mine.